Howdy, this is Therese, and I'm so excited that you're here with another episode of the Fiercely Brilliant podcast. And I just feel super blessed because I have amazing people in my life. And so I say, you got to come and talk to my podcast. And today I'm really excited to have Holly Chantal with us. Hello, Miss Holly.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. And you look fabulous in your purple today. I really like that you're like.
Thank you. You know, maternity clothes, I have very limited options, so I can wear this one a lot.
It works. We're all working from home. Nobody sees it. It's all good, right? So anyway, so before we dive into the kind of content of the podcast, tell people what you do, because you have a really cool business, and I love what you do to help people. So talk about that.
Yeah, so I work mainly with coaches and some private practitioners that are trying to bring their businesses online. And really what I do is I help them align their brand, their business model, and their marketing systems with their next level of growth. So
Nice.
After you've kind of gone through that startup phase and now your business is going, usually there comes a point where every time you try to introduce a new idea, it doesn't quite land.
Yeah.
And this is a signal where I come in and help you figure out, where the misalignments are. I find that usually, and this is probably something we're going to talk about today, it's usually you've outgrown pieces of your business, or you have taken a turn that you didn't realize would take you off course from your vision, but it did. And there's a lot of inner work that Therese is very familiar with.
Yeah.
To bring a lot of those things back into alignment, as well as the strategic work. And I kind of blend the two so that you can, get back to really feeling aligned with your business and super profitable. Because that's,
important.
Something else that obviously is really important in your business is making sure that it's streamlined, efficient, and that you're making money.
That's so cool. So what lights you up about what you do? Like my house, we usually have the barking dog. So I'm glad it was you first and not me.
I told my husband, I got a podcast interview at 2. Yeah. And of course he's going to come in down the driveway at 2. So that,
It's so good. I usually get landscapers, barking dog, so we're pet friendly here and kid friendly.
So hopefully she'll cool down. Yeah. Anyway. So, so what lights me up is, it's funny you say that, because my tagline is build the business that lights you up.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh.
Perfect wording.
That's so funny. Boom. There we go.
Yeah. So what lights me up is really helping my clients open up possibilities. Because usually when we go through that phase of figuring out what's misaligned, it's usually because what they really want doesn't align with what they think is possible.
Oh.
And so once we figure out, once we figure out what they really want, and they can see they can have that, you have everything you need to do that, and it is a good idea. And I don't care who told you that wasn't going to sell, or that people won't pay for that, or you can't see logistically how it would work. Everything's solvable. And that for me that's what lights me up, is just really opening up that ability to dream again for business owners.
You're going to make me cry. This is so good. This is really good. Because I think it's easy to lose that, when you've had launches that haven't worked, or when you've had some hits, it's just, then you kind of scramble. So talk about, this is called the Fiercely Brilliant podcast. And today I see you really, I've always known, you and I did, what was your brand before? The Land of Brand?
The Land of Brand, yeah.
The Land of Brand.
So you and I go way back. We
go way back. And we actually did an interview where we were lip syncing. Do you remember the lip syncing interview?
Yep. To Taylor Swift. What's the song? Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. So this woman is so freaking creative. Holly is, at least for me, one of the standouts in the industry. You used to focus more on branding. Now you're doing kind of more the whole thing, sounds like. But you're living in your brilliance today. At least I think so, right?
Thank you.
From having a little girl crush on you, I'm like, bam, that woman's rocking. Was there ever a time, Holly, that you felt misaligned? Like obviously we teach what we need to learn, right? So I'm just curious how that came.
Yes, definitely. Really my stepping into helping people up-level their businesses really came from me realizing I needed to up-level my business. And so it's not always a beautiful process, and it's not always a process that you realize is happening. And for me, I didn't realize that I was playing smaller or that I was misaligned. For me, I was just running my business, the way I felt was necessary, because I had, at the time, I had a 3-year-old and like a 6-month-old. And your choices and
right.
get to sleep and how much you get to work
right.
is a
There's
little
some
bit
constraints
limited.
on you there.
Yeah, there's some like real constraints
right.
here.
Right.
So in navigating that, I had built my business in a way that allowed for me to have the kids home, and all the reasons why I have my own business, I was fulfilling those. But what I was doing in my business, I felt like what I really wanted to do wasn't possible. Because of those constraints, that, if I step into working with the people I really want to work with, and, where my my level of experience was more suited to, what if it didn't work? What if my, anytime I tried to dip my toe in the water, I get no response. So it's like, I'm not going to commit wholeheartedly,
right.
Because, I need to pay my bills. I need to be able to bring money in. And so there was just so much fear. And that, for me, that not stepping into that space that I really wanted to be in, and just starting to go through the motions, I started to lose my inspiration and, lose creativity. And it just felt like a drag. And I ended up really, really depressed. Had no idea that I was depressed. Because I thought depression was sadness.
Right.
Feeling sad and pessimistic, like whatever. And I am right. And I am, I'm a realist / optimist. Everything, I know things are going to get better. I know, I'm very confident. But I was working with an actually a hypnotherapist, to have her help me deal with some of the anxiety I was feeling. And she's like, "You're depressed. You need to go to a therapist."
Yeah.
And it was like a wake up call. I was like, yes, if I look at all, I am.
Well, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Because most people think depression is sad, therapy word, affective. Like, I feel sad, I want to cry. But I
don't want to get out of bed,
But what were your symptoms? Because other people might be going, holy shit, maybe that's what's going on. So what symptoms led that other person to say, this might be this?
Yeah. So for me, it was, I had a lot of anxiety. About just that it was that internal pull.
Yeah.
And I was it's gonna sound crazy, I was hearing a lot of voices. and just, anytime I had an idea or an inspiration, it would be just like 10 different versions of me giving their input. And it was driving me crazy. So that's where the anxiety come from. I forgot about that part. Good question. Cause it makes you think, go back to that place and think about it. And yeah, so that was originally part of why I was going to the hypnotherapist, because that anxiety was I would literally stand in the middle of my kitchen and be like, should I put the spoon away? No, you shouldn't. It was just
so real negative self. You're not hearing aliens tell you to go kill your neighbors.
No, it wasn't negative. It was just indecision.
Indecision. Okay.
You should do that. You shouldn't do that. If you do that, this will happen, but maybe that'll happen. And all the scenarios that could happen.
Yeah. Oh, that's paralyzing.
And literally physically paralyzing. And it felt kind of like I was trapped in a cage. There was, I was meant to break through, but for some reason I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And my low point was, I remember it distinctly. I was sitting in the playroom, baby in my lap, 3-year-old next to me. And I just thought, I can't be here anymore. And that was when I was like, yeah, maybe I am depressed. Maybe this is not good.
Yeah.
And just that, for me to have that thought in a moment where I was content, it had nothing to do with the kids. I was with my kids, we were playing, but the chatter that was going on in my head, I was like, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I went to a therapist, and here's what's really cool. I found the best therapist because he instantly knew exactly what was going on. I was going through a spiritual awakening. And those of you that have
A
gone through
therapist told you that?
Yep.
Oh,
that's why I said it was like the right therapist.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh, I'm just tingling all over. Yeah. So thank you for sharing
those of you that have gone
really
through
good.
that, I had no idea what that was. And he's like, those voices, you're just reaching another level of consciousness. He's like, they're all just, he's like, we can work with them.
My God. Because another person would have been pathologized and on meds, right, and, heavy duty diagnosis. So, oh my gosh. Okay, keep going.
And so he helped me kind of navigate the beginnings of that. And then I hired a spiritual coach who is very much like what you do, and clearing blocks and finding like the root causes of some of these things. And so I went, that's where I started my spiritual journey. And that's why that metaphysical piece and that spiritual piece has become such a big part of my work.
Yeah.
And their catalyst was really my business. Like I said, things at home were good. It was just, I wasn't stepping into something. And when I did, everything broke open, things got easier. And it took a while to get there, but I'm so happy with the way things are now.
Oh my God. Well, this is what I love about this show, is that women like you, who somebody could look at and say, you have it all together. My God, life must have been easy for you. Look how you're so polished. And so to speak the truth, because there's another woman in a cage, Holly. There's another woman going, I don't know that I can do this. And so what would you say? Like, I think we need to speak into that, because it's we all have our specific breakdowns. And so if somebody comes to you, like, let's talk about that. Somebody's in a cage, like, I don't know that I can keep doing this. What would you say?
Definitely get support, because it's something that is so hard to navigate on your own.
Yeah.
And if you need help finding support, I'm sure Teresa and I can help connect you with someone.
Yeah.
And you need that spiritual awakening piece is something that you feel so alone, because no one else understands what you're going through. Because they haven't been there yet, unless you have a partner or a friend that has been there, and then they're like, yay,
I've waited for
you're
this.
Coming.
Yeah. Right.
So it can be lonely, but it doesn't have to be. And then from a business perspective, if you feel like you're hitting that wall, and anytime you introduce a new idea, it's not panning out when things panned out really well for you before. Like, you've always followed your instincts, and now you're starting to lose your confidence.
Right.
That piece is where you really need to start thinking about, like, is it a strategic problem? Which chances are it's not. If you have a track record that shows that you've been successful in the past and your ideas work, chances are there is a misalignment in what you're committing to. And when you can fix that misalignment, which shows up in two ways, it shows up energetically, but it comes out through your words. For example, I might be working with a client that really wants to get out of that one-to-one model and break into groups, but they believe that they can't deliver the same value in a group program as they do one-on-one.
Right.
That's a belief. And so the words they'll use, or when they're having a sales conversation, there's like an energy behind them that says, I don't believe this, I'm going to be able to get you the results.
Ooh.
I'm afraid to offer this. Even though you're not saying that.
Yeah. But it permeates the room and you're not getting sales, right?
Yeah. They're like, your audience feels a sense of unease. They feel lack of confidence, and it's on a subconscious level. So they're not thinking bad thoughts about you, but they're not taking action, and that's why. So we can get, like, that's kind of where I work with people, is like getting both the energetic piece and the, like, making sure that we're using the right words that are speaking to the right people. Right. Because just nuances, like one word off and you're speaking to a totally different audience than you thought you were.
No, you're really good at this. Y'all should hire this woman for this. Just hire her. I want to speak to, let me just back up a little bit. we reconnected like 6 months ago, or like long time ago, maybe 6 months ago, probably, maybe less, almost a year ago. I don't know when we reconnected after years, after our lip sync duet on live video. And you shared that story with me. And I shared my story of, the breakdown that I had been in. And for me, it was like, oh my God, I love this woman. I feel close to this woman. I want to champion for this woman. But what I know also happens is that when we're in those modes, we have shame and we want to go quiet. And we don't, when we, the little gremlins compare, and then we watch other people who are in seasons of generativity and they're running around, they're hustling, and we're like, what the fuck? And so let's talk about exactly, really, right? So let's talk about that, because it's so imperative to understand seasons and to not let the shame voices get you. Like, because your business, when you are deconstructing something or allowing this to break away, you're not rocking the revenue as much, right? Like there's a letting go of, and it's really easy to get into, oh my God. So let's just talk about that, because I think that is such a plight when you're in this place. So what do you got?
So this is kind of become my new way of operating my business. And I think it's a really good analogy for what you're talking about, the seasons. So something that I've come aware from my coach is, the rhythms of life.
Yes.
How the earth goes through seasons, and there's the death cycle and the rebirth and the growing, and then the harvest, and then back to the death cycle. Right. Your business and you go through these same cycles. And so we do have to be gentle with ourselves and learn how to recognize when we might be going through a death cycle, and allow that process to happen, and making sure that, again, we're treating our business in a natural way. So sometimes we think that we can just go and launch something new. But if you haven't been planting the seeds for that thing, it has nothing to grow from. Right. So you might have an idea now so this is like, I know there's a lot of guilt around this. Like, you have an idea, you put it out into the world, no one really responds. You just planted a seed.
Right.
And nothing's if you don't deliver on that now, because I've done that before, like, I'm going to do this course and I might even get a response, but then I just, change directions, or, something comes up, and then I feel like really guilty that I said I was going to do this and I didn't. There's integrity, but then there's also I planted a seed. I know there's people that want to do that, and when I'm ready to come back to it, I can. Just understanding that and using, you might journal on it. Moon phases are really good for this, because the moon goes through a cycle every month. Every month. They go through every month. Mercury retrogrades are another time that when you learn to work with them are actually really awesome.
Nice.
Most people, like, so many people dread Mercury retrograde, and I've learned to embrace them, and really cool things happen.
Cool.
If you flow with the energy, right? So just, going back to just really basic rhythms in your operation. I used to get really, really anxious when my creativity, like, I couldn't write, or I couldn't, like, I wanted to create, but the ideas weren't there. And it was like I was just pushing something uphill. And then I learned to just wait, which is so hard to do, especially when you're like high achieving type A person like me.
Yes. I get it.
And just realize that I can't always be at level 10. Like, needs to recuperate. There needs to be rhythms. I need to take that time to focus on other things that I might have been ignoring during those really creative times. And even though the creative times are way more fun,
right.
There's other things that need tending. There's other parts of my garden that need to be worked on. So just recognizing those rhythms for yourself, and it doesn't happen overnight, but when you do, and you can work with them, you'll find yourself comparing yourself a lot less, feeling a lot less shame, and just realizing, like, this is where I am right now, and spring is coming and I'm going to be amazing. And that is okay.
There we go. Yeah. I work really hard at, I'm like a shame buster, and that is my like life's mission is to eradicate shame. And it's so easy to sit there when you're in a season of maybe gestation. You're kind of waiting and growing it, and you look around and people are having launches, and it can drive you nuts. And I know there's a tendency, I always say to my clients, measure something else, right? Because there's a tendency like, I didn't do enough sales calls, I didn't get enough opt-ins, and so the focus must be like, what can you measure in yourself? And maybe that's, I meditated 5 minutes more, I slept a little better, I snuggled my dog today. You know what I mean? Like, I think we get so outside oriented, like I got to go get that, as opposed to who am I asked to be? Like, what's emerging?
That and just looking at the current here and now.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
My bills are paid.
That's right. In the moment.
Spending time with my kids, like going back to the way you wanted your life to be. And that was huge, is just not measuring yourself by those numbers and by those achievements that you set, those goals that you set for yourself. Because the reality is, life is what matters, that you are happy is what matters, that your day-to-day is pleasant. It's what matters. And if you're driving yourself crazy, it's not pleasant.
Fire your boss on the inside. So let me just ask you one last question. I really liked how you started by saying, here's where you are, but here's what you dreamed. And, like, is it not possible? So sometimes people have given up on their dreams, or they have let their dreams be talked out of them, or shamed out of them, or socialized out of them. So how do you help people reignite with, like, what would I just freaking love to have? What do you do for that?
Usually they know what they'd love to have.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like, what I really wanted to do was this, but this was easier, or someone told me that this would work better.
Right.
And so I find that a lot of, especially coaches, they started off with this dream of what they wanted, but then they followed all the advice and the steps that they're supposed to take that everyone else is taking. And they just, in the kind of put your nose to the grindstone, blinders on, doing the business, just lost sight of it.
Right.
And now there's so much complexity and nuances that to go back just seems like they'd be starting over. And that's usually not the case. And we can also find non-conventional ways that people are not teaching that, blend your gifts and, maybe bits and pieces of these strategies into something that would work better for you.
Right.
And those, like, that's the kind of thing, like, that's like, I'm an integrator. I take all these pieces and bring them together, and that's just fun.
Like, I can see you light up.
I just nerd out about that. So getting back to I can't remember what the original question was, I'm sorry. But yeah, so just recognizing that you probably have a dream in there, and try to remember what it was. Like, what did you want when you first started? Like, what inspirations pop up for you, and then you immediately like, yeah, no, that won't work, like, because that might actually be the thing.
Well, and you know what they say, I like this, make decisions not based on what has worked, but based on what you desire, right? So if you're saying, I want to be on stages, but nobody ever shows up to my events, that's crazy, right? So you don't let the history determine. And I just love that you're a dream builder. All right, do you have any last words of advice? So how to be fiercely brilliant, how to step into your dreams, how to navigate a spiritual awakening. Like, what do you got? I know we could talk for more days, but
I was going to say, that's a lot of stuff.
I know.
How long do we got?
Just pick one of those. So.
Yeah. So I guess my piece of advice would be to go maybe journal, meditate, like do whatever you need to do that will take you out of your normal strategic analytical mind, and just explore, like, what if, what if I could do this, and not like, don't focus on the how it would happen, but like, what if I could work only 20 hours a week? what if I could, work with these clients that, I feel like I have like crushes on, but are just so far out of reach, because they might not be out of reach.
Right.
And so just like play a game of what if with yourself, of what it would look like. And then, what if all that was possible, and see what comes up for you. See how you feel physically, see ideas that you have that might show you how. Start looking around for signs of other people doing that, or other people saying, that you should be doing, you should go for it. So start looking for those external signals, as well as the internal ones. And start, when you start believing that it's possible, the pieces fall into place. And that's just kind of how the universe works.
And so the part of believing it's possible is you don't listen to the little voices that tell you, but you don't know how to do that. It's never been, shh. So I love what you said. Don't worry about the how. And whenever you get those thoughts, just literally, shh, go lay down, right?
It's not even that you have to push them away. Just say, thank you.
Yeah. Just
and I'll figure it out.
Right.
It'll happen. Like, I don't need that answer right now. I will get there.
Very nice.
So one step at a time.
Very nice. Good. So I would imagine people listening to this would be like, how do I get more of Holly? So how do they follow you? And all the links will be in the show notes and all that, and do you have a free gift that you want to share with people?
I do. So my website is hollychantal.com. Pretty simple. And so I have a free gift. So if you're at that place where you're trying to introduce new ideas, or you're trying to reach another level in your business where you've maybe plateaued or stalled, I have a growth blind spot quiz that'll tell you where the misalignment is on a strategic standpoint, and then also usually what energetically is underlying that. So what the belief might be, or where you might be misaligned in that area. So that's at growthblindspot.com. And it's a really cool quiz. I was very, very happy when I created it, because I was like, this is cool.
I'm going to go take it. That sounds really cool. Nice. That's fabulous. It has been such a delight. And you're going to have a baby shortly. So I don't know when your episode will air, but you might be a new mom. So wishing you just all the best with that. And just thanks again. I appreciate, I have mad respect for your skills in the marketplace, but getting to know you more as such a woman of authenticity, you're just a delight. So thank you so much for showing up.
Likewise. We're just like crushing on each other.
We are. OMG. Let's just do a little duet now. Okay. Thanks for now listening. And you guys, leave comments if you like something. Just put what was your big takeaway? Like, this was kind of chock full of a lot of stuff. And what I love is when women like this come and share the real deal, because we can't get through this pretending. We can't get through this with like hiding the stuff. And I love that we have leaders like Holly and me that will just share the scoop, right? Because that shame only gets you when you're hiding, right? But when you talk about this stuff, we inspire each other. So let us know how you like this episode. And feel free to reach out to Holly or I if you have any questions, or we can support you more. All right. Peace and blessings. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.